Hi guys, how's it going? Or should I say, 안녕하세요, 여러분? That means hi guys in Korean. Why? Because of this little guy right here. We are still continuing on the build of the Korean K2 Black Panther tank, or ROK, Republic of Korea, K2 Black Panther. We are still working on it, still going along. I am starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel. It is coming along. We're getting there. Um, so what did we do last time? We started doing a little bit of dust effects by trying to make it look a little bit dusty. And so I've come up with, I decided, you know what, I'm going to take my M1A1 Abrams tank, put it down here, and I'm going to slather this dust color all over it and see how it comes out. And it actually came out pretty good. So I've decided to do the same with this guy. So I've already done it to the top of the turret here. I'm not sure if the effects are going to be really picked up on the camera. You can see a lot of it right here. It's like a little faded and stuff like that. And that's kind of the look I'm going for. So we're getting there. So I need to do it to the hull. That's my next step. And then we're going to get to making some mud. And we're going to put some mud on this guy. I got my tracks done. The tracks have dried. Last time we put the rust effects all over it. I'll show you on the picture here. This is what they currently look like in the box. So it's dry. They are totally dry. Although I did discover one little thing. If I'm not careful with it, the links on the ends here's a perfect example, they are breaking quite easily. The pigment binder got in there and has made them quite brittle, and this does not bend nearly like it used to. So I'm kind of not really playing with it. I don't want to break it. So hindsight being 2020, maybe, yeah, see, it's just breaking apart there. Hindsight being 2020, maybe not the best idea to do that with this. If anybody out there knows a better way to a solution, see, I did that exact same process using the pigments and the binder. I did that exact same process on my last tank on the Terran 5, but that track was made of rubber. So, and it was one piece already assembled. All I had to do was just glue the two ends together. But it was rubber. This is more of a plasticky plastic track. All come off the sprue like this. Is more of a plastic, although it's a little bit flexible. It's obviously got some rubber in it to make it kind of bend and flex a little bit, but it's definitely not the same track. So I'm interested to know what would have been a better solution. Should I have just used the rust washes and not pigments? But then again, you know, I've heard Night Shift. What's his name? What is the guy's name? I gotta look it up. I gotta look up his name. I keep forgetting his actual name. His YouTube channel is Night Shift. Martin Kovac. Martin Kovac. Martin Kovac is his name. So he's got a fantastic channel on YouTube when it comes to building tanks, and yeah, so I think he uses washes to do the rust effects, and he starts with a light gray, or not, he uses pigments. I don't know. He uses pigments, but maybe just a different brand maybe, and they come in the jar and they're already like pre-mixed like a mud. So I don't know. And then he applies it very sparingly, and he does multiple coats and speckling and all that stuff, and they come out looking fantastic and real. Battle Cats. Basketball. What about basketball? Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna have to try maybe on my next tank. If I do another tank, I'll have to look at a different way to do the tracks to keep them from busting apart on me. So all I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna do I hate basketball? No, I don't hate basketball. So I'm just going to kind of splatter this on here. I don't want to get too much in the panel lines. That would be going against what I'm trying to do here. I'm curious why you're asking if I hate basketball. I really like it when the ball flies against your nuts. Really? Is that what you really like? You really like that? No? Well, that's good. So what I'm going to do is just kind of slather this stuff on there and then let it dry for after a couple of minutes, and then basically wipe 90% of it off. That's what I did on the other tank, and it came out looking pretty good for a nice dusty effect. And yeah, I don't want to do it on here on these grills. I want to leave those, I want to keep those darker colored and not too light. I can even do it all in there because just assume there'd be some dust and whatever accumulating along the edges and stuff like that. It's just in these panel lines. I don't want to get in the line itself. So, yes, I do post on YouTube. My YouTube channel is pretty much the same name, Duplicitous29. And I also post still pictures of all my builds once they're completed on my Instagram. I've got links on my page there, and of course on my YouTube. If you are watching this on YouTube, put the links down below in the comments. Yeah. Okay, so that's basically it for the. I'm gonna let this dry, and then let that all set up a little bit, and then I can kind of wipe it away and make it just look like dust had settled and nobody's cleaned it up. Just kind of just what I'm looking for. Can I make cheese? Can I make cheese? Not really. I can cut it, but I can't really make it. That sucks. Why does it suck that I can't make cheese? I'll bite, come on. Why does it suck that I can't make cheese? cheese is so good. Yeah, cheese does taste good. Unless it's blue. Blue cheese is gross. But you're not really talking about cheese, are you? I am, however, about to make some mud. Because I need to make some mud to go in all of this section here to make this thing look like it's been through the mud. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take some brown earth tone, but we want the textured one, and grab a brush. And just kind of scoop some out here. I think that's probably enough. Add worms. Add worms to the mud. I think to make worms that would be scaled small enough to be realistic on this, the worms would be like, I don't know, half the length of that. You can't even see it. Half the length of this little thing. If that, it'd be a fraction of that. So no, I'm not going to add worms, but thanks for the suggestion. So we've got our dry dirt here, and now we're going to use the alkyd binder, and we add a few drops of this. It's going to be just enough to make it a nice muddy paste. And depending on how much we want to do, it's either going to be, we need to either add more binder or more paste, and it's all sticking to the brush, so I need more of this stuff, more liquid. This, of course, is the first time making this stuff, so it's this is a whole new process to me. And so now I've made pudding. Clearly I need more. And based on what I want to do, I need a lot more. Okay. It's looking a little bit better. Now they say this stuff, you can play around with it, play with your mud for up to 9 hours before this stuff cures and becomes permanent. So there we go. So that's kind of our mud. So let's start applying this stuff. So we can just slather it on here as much as we want. And it doesn't require any skill other than you don't really want to put too much on the pieces where you've got the wheels to go on. So like on these axle shafts, I'm not going to bother. I'm going to try to avoid putting it too much on them. Basically covering this whole thing in mud underneath here. Including under here, this is where all the mud would accumulate a little bit. Now, as you can tell, adding worms wouldn't really work very well on this now, would it? once again, I know you're just trolling me, so it's all good. I don't mind. Troll me all you like. Add some excitement to it, right? Now, in a sense, we're going to be removing some of this mud once it's dried a little bit. Because we want to try and make it realistic. As mud dries and then kind of cleans up a little bit and washes away, it doesn't stay so. You're nice to troll. As the mud kind of cleans away, it kind of dries up and disappears a little bit. Make sure to put lots on the back mud flap, because that, of course, will be where it accumulates the most. I also have the non-textured flat earth, or not flat earth, but the earth tone. But that isn't going to, that's just going to be like a very smooth paste to put on there just to really add color or whatever. I'm kind of using the edge of my brush to create some mud buildup in certain spots. So that's kind of the whole point of this. Why I'm using the textured earth as opposed to just the smooth. Again, like I said, I'm going to be cleaning a lot of this up anyway, so any spot where maybe I've got a little too much or something like that, I can clean that up anyway. So, and that's kind of what we're looking at right now. So that's one side pretty much done, and I can start working on the other side. I need to make myself a little bit more of a mixture because kind of running out, and that's what we're looking at right there. We got some mud on there. Plus I need to apply some mud to the wheels also. That geolocator kind of looks sus. What geolocator? I didn't know I had a geolocator. You mean this thing? What geolocator are you referring to? Or is it my watch? I have a bot that tells in what country I live. Oh, okay. So what country do you think I live in? I'll give you a hint, eh? And I'm sorry. I didn't know I had a bot. That's a new one to me. I live in Canada, eh? And they think I'm slow, eh? How about that? Is that a good enough hint? I'm Canadian. That's where I'm from. Need more hints? Canada. Is that good enough? Canada. Where are you from? I'm guessing you live in America. Fuck yeah. Oh, pardon my French. Netherlands. Okay. I didn't know there were trolls in Netherlands. I thought they were all American. Does that say something about the Americans? I don't know. I thought it was only Americans that make these nuts jokes. But I could be wrong. It's really burns the hell out of the brush, I'll give you that. This was a brand new brush when I started. And now it kind of looks like crap. But that's alright. Why do your nuts hurt? Maybe you should be kinder to your nuts. And now I'm just kind of mushing it into these little areas that are hard to get at, just to say, hey, I got it in there. No pun intended. Okay, so that's that side done. Nice and muddy and dirty looking. Now, that needs to kind of sit and dry a little bit. Now, the recommendation that VMS has on their website is to use a hair dryer to dry it. What's my favorite kind of nut? My favorite kind of nut. Now, if I'm going to answer honestly, an honest answer would be either a peanut or a cashew. There you go. That's an honest answer. Not trolling, not trying to troll or anything like that. So now I got a really torn up brush, but I need to use a smaller brush to get in there. But actually I don't need to. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make another batch of mud here. Make another batch. Lots of liquid. This is probably a messier process than anything else. So all I'm going to do is just fill that in there. Just like that. And make a bunch of muddy wheels. Get lots in there. So I knew Amogus. I do not know Amogus. Am I saying that right? Amogus? Or is it Amogus? I know that's going to be Amogus nuts or something. Why are you surprised? You seem surprised that I don't know Amogus. Amogus. I don't know. Sorry. Don't know who that is. I feel a D's Nuts reference coming on. I don't know. I'm sensing that. No, nothing? You had to buy a new toilet because you ate at Taco Bell. They got Taco Bell in the Netherlands? Maybe what do you mean maybe? You don't know. You said you're from the Netherlands. So I would assume you know if there's a Taco Bell in the Netherlands. You're living in somebody's walls. Oh. So maybe you're a squirrel. I'm getting it. You're a squirrel. That's why you're fascinated with nuts. Right? Is that it? I gotcha. Yeah. See, I figured that out. It must be pretty smart for a squirrel to be able to actually like use a computer and come on Twitch and actually use a keyboard. You're a pretty smart squirrel. All right. So the mud is done, except I've got to do the inside of these. But because you're not really going to see these, I'm just kind of going to do a little bit of a light coat on them. Kind of like that, just a little bit, just so that it's not forgotten completely. So I figure, you know, some mud would accumulate a little bit, but maybe not a lot on this, maybe on the back part here. Kind of like that. So I think that's good enough for that. Put that down there. A little bit more out of here. Smeekle. Sorry, I don't get that reference. Smeekle. Okay, that's that. And my hands are all brown from playing with the mud. My brush is kind of destroyed. And I've got some extra that I don't really need. Although if I wanted to really try and get realistic with it, I think, well, when you have the sides like this, and this is on there, Oh, it's the police. It's actually just an ambulance. If you're referring to the sound in the background. Fire engine, actually. So this is going to go on kind of like this. And so how would mud get splattered up on there? I think real life, does mud really get splattered on the sides? Not so much. Maybe a little bit on the back. I could do a little bit here, maybe a little bit up through here, right? It won't be too much. Keep in mind this isn't a super warm tank with seeing all kinds of action, but maybe a little bit on the edges here, like this. That's the whole point of mud guards, right? Is that it protects parts from getting splashed with mud, but maybe it's not 100% protective. Average Prime user. You looking at my profile? Average Prime user. Yes, I'm an average Prime user. Does it transform? Not at all. It's not a transformer. Okay, that's done. So it looks like this still isn't quite dry, and there are a couple of places that I didn't quite get into. So I want to make sure that I get in there in a few spots, because, well, the mud would get in there just because my brush doesn't. There we go. That looks better. There we go. How about this side? I think I got it pretty good on this side. Okay, so that's it. Do I own a body pillow? No, I don't. Sorry. I'm not a weeb. Why would I own a body pillow? Does my profile scream anime enthusiast? I don't think it does. Okay, so while the mud is drying, I'm going to clean this up. And so all I'm going to do is take my thinner. Oh, you figured I'd get more viewers if I had a body pillow in the screen? I see. I don't know. I'm not sure if I want to be that kind of streamer, you know? I'm just going to take this and get some of the dust off of it. Okay. All right. Stream in a hot tub. I did that once. I tried the whole hot tub stream thing. That was sometime last year. I had a fake background of a hot tub, and yeah, did that once. And I got comments. Nobody wants to see my big gut. So, and I kind of agree with them. I don't think anybody wants to see my big fat belly. So yeah, I'm not doing that again. So all I'm going to do is, using the thinner on my brush, kind of reactivate this a little bit, and then I'm going to wipe it away. I'm going to do it in kind of a random pattern to get rid of most of it, And any spot that I think might still benefit, I'm just going to do that and then wipe it. And just kind of do that. And just kind of work my way around the model in these spots and do that. So it gives a little bit of a shade slash, I don't know, kind of a filter in a sense, but not quite. And that's kind of how I'm going to go, like that. Just kind of work my way around in these spots. Kind of like that. These bigger panels kind of do a circular pattern so I don't get streaks. So then it looks a little bit more realistic. You don't want any hard lines. I'm going to have to go back in with the panel line color in here because I want that a darker color, not the lighter color. So I wasn't careful enough with my brush and where I was applying this. So kind of have to go back over it. My brush starts to get a little too dry and it's not really doing the job. And then just dip it back in the thinner again, and that will help it. Kind of like that. Who's my waifu? Who's my waifu? I don't think I have a waifu. I don't even remember the last time I really watched an anime. What's that chick's name? I'm trying to think of the name of the show that I watched last, and it's a long time ago. You know what? Just give me a second. Yours is D-nuts in my mouth. Really? Really? And that's your waifu? You even know what definition of waifu is? And you come up with a comment like that? Crazy. Let's see here. I want to check this out. How do you pronounce her name? Rias Gremori? Rias Gremori? Do you know who I'm talking about? Her first name is Rias, R-I-A-S. No? Yeah, because you don't know. You just want to talk about nuts and putting them in my mouth. Well, I suppose you could Google her name, Rias Gremori, and see who she is. Then again, if you're the kind of person who likes nuts in your mouth, maybe you don't like her. Yes, no, maybe. Okay, so dust effects are done, and I think that looks pretty good. Maybe not perfect, but I think it does add quite a bit of character to this thing and make it seem a little bit more not so washed perfectly clean. Definitely an improvement over it. I'll hold it up to the camera here. Maybe you can. I don't know if the camera's really going to show it all that well on the dust. I think you can see, you can tell the different shades, that it looks much lighter, especially on the green parts, right? Yeah. Okay. How's our mud looking? Mud's looking pretty dry. So now, because we don't want it totally crazy, it wouldn't be realistic to just have a huge, smooth, brown layer of mud. There's going to be some areas that kind of get cleaned off and get cleaned up, that kind of thing. So this brush is basically useless now. It's done. But my little tray is not. I just need to clean it up a little bit. So I got lots of splatter everywhere. So that I don't need. Okay. So just I'm going to reuse the tray, and I'm going to get a new brush. Find where my brushes are. Now I have a bunch of new brushes somewhere. They are somewhere. I do have them. I just need to move out of my own way here. What's the matter? What's the matter, Battle Cat? Fam? Okay, nice brand new brush. And we're going to take the Universal Weathering Carrier, otherwise known as thinner. For lack of a better term, it's just thinner. So put some here. And what's the effect this is going to have, at least according to the videos, is it's going to thin up some spots on here so that I can kind of get it back down to the green color, and it kind of creates spots where it's going to fade a little bit so you don't have so much mud everywhere. See how it's taking it off there? So I can kind of get into these little areas and thin it out and get back to the original paint color underneath. At least that's the theory. Let's see what it's like when it dries. Maybe it's going to dry and have all my brush strokes in there, and I might have to use a softer brush. I'm not sure yet. The way they do it in the videos, like VMS has their tutorial videos on their website, which is nice and handy. So you get to learn how to use their products right on their website. You're gonna go play Pokemon on your fridge. Okay, well, have fun doing that. It's been nice chatting with you. So as much as this is taking away the texture, it's not really doing much for actually removing the color. So let's see if I can get in there with this. Oh yeah, there we go. So we got a little bit of color coming back in that spot, especially right there, right? Color's coming back. Just have to wipe it away a little bit. And that's kind of what I wanted. Kind of what I wanted. So it's not just a big layer of caked on mud everywhere. Well, that's what you start off with, right? But if I've learned anything from watching the night shift guy, whatever the heck his name is, I'm sorry. If you ever watch my video and you're watching this, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting your name. Yeah. So I want to clean this up a little bit because I got a bunch on there that I didn't want to because of my big fat brush. So I don't mind having a little bit of mud color on the back here. I just don't want so much mud texture. So that's why I want to clean this up a little bit, just make it a bit smoother. It might still come out looking brown and faded, but it's not nearly like it's been caked in mud, you know? And that's kind of what I want. So that looks a little better. I'm happier with that. Okay. Now, as you can see, this is starting to dry. You can see that more where it's been wiped away there. It's a little bit more natural looking. So, yeah, I'm happy with that. Looking a little bit better. So let's start working on the other side here. Now, could I have just not applied nearly as much? Yeah, that could have worked too, right? The other thing you can do is limit where you're putting the textured mud and put the non-textured version on, and then you kind of would only have like a light coating and it would be smooth. think that's all I want to do. I think pretty much that's all I want to do for that. I think that's good enough for removing and getting a bit more of a realistic mud texture in there. Okay, so next step, wheels. I don't want so much caked on mud in the wheels. Okay, but what I can do, I'm going to use my brush that I was just about to throw away, but I'm going to clean it up a bit because it's got a lot of dry mud in it, and so I'm just going to see if I can clean all the dirt out of it. And it's still all fanned out like crazy. You can see there, it's fanned out, but it's still got the texture on it. But you know what I'm going to try and do? Let's see if this will clean it up. Because that carrier is basically a thinner. These aren't exactly super high quality brushes anyway, that's why I don't really care. But I want to get in there and get all the texture out of this wheel. I'm actually going to do it over my garbage can here, so that there we go. So I got some texture out of there, just because I don't want so much. Fortunately, I'm going to get a lot of dirt all over my fingers, because I don't want so much. Now, I'm not really doing this according to the website, because the website says to dry it with a hairdryer. And although there's nothing wrong with that, that's what I'm supposed to do, but so that means I'm basically not really supposed to be doing this while it's wet. And again, that's okay. They know best. That's why they do the instruction videos, right? But at the same time, I want these wheels to have mud. I want a little bit of texture on them, but just not quite as much as what I got on there just by slathering it there. You can refine it. And you know, in the video they show them like picking away. On the video they put a lot more. How dirty my fingers are. In the video they put a lot more than what I did. They really caked it on there, and they did it on purpose, right? To show, in order to apply the mud, you don't need to put it like you've got all kinds of skill, which is nice. Okay, well, I got my fingers all really muddy, so I am going to wash my hands. I'm going to throw this, I'm going to put some water over this and see how well it cleans up, just out of curiosity. So I'll be back in a minute, okay? I'll be right back. Alright, so the Dawn dish soap did great cleaning up my hands. I got most of this cleaned up my brush nice. So yeah, cleans up alright. Dawn dish soap. Good advertisement. Okay, so I don't need this now. And I need to wipe off the little tray. I think the texture on these pieces is probably fine. I don't see much of an issue with them at all. I think the way the mud has turned out on these is it's fine. It's kind of faded a little bit on there, kind of blended in with my paper towel a little bit, and it looks realistic enough, I think. Okay, so what is the next step in the actual assembly on this thing? Well, the next step is to wait for this to dry. And that's going to take some time. I need to wait for this to completely dry. I could put the wheels on. That's not going to be an issue. Now the wheels do go in a specific pattern as per our little drawing. We start off with a yellow wheel, okay, at the back. Ready to go on. It's super tight. There is a poly cap on there. Okay, there we go. There, one. And then we go green. So I'm going to separate this. That's green, 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 yellow, green, yellow, 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 yellow. Okay. So we get green. I want to get kind of the muddier ones towards the back. Now what's kind of interesting is, you know, they give you poly caps, but then they make it such a tight fit that you might as well just do a regular piece of plastic and just glue them, because these do not turn. Like, that's not turning the wheel. That is a solid mount, right? So why bother? Why bother with that? Anyway, so then we go another yellow. Like so. And then a green. This one will be a little bit cleaner. And then we go yellow, yellow. Am I right? Yellow, green, yellow, yellow. No, I did this one wrong. We gotta go 2 yellows. And then this one. And then a yellow. Nice clean yellow at the front. Well, something I just remembered. I have these little idler wheels. They gotta go on these little things. So there's a challenge now that I've put these wheels on. Fortunately, I haven't glued them though. So let's take these off. First, taking them off, if you do too much pressure, it can inadvertently break loose something. So, using a little bit of pressure as I turn this green one. Not pulling too hard on it. Hopefully, there we go. Okay. So we got to put our little idler wheels on. Little idler wheels, there's 4 of them on each side, and yeah, that's these little guys here. It's going to be much easier to put them on when there's no other wheels. It's already going to be a bit of a challenge to get in there. Okay, there's one. I realize I'm kind of blocking your view. But I need to be able to see so where these are going. So I was wrong, there's actually only 3 on each side. Now this one I've got some mud caked on here. So let's clean that off. Okay. Now, of course, the other thing that we could do with our mud effects is we could actually make wet spots. Oh, where'd Battle Cat fan go? He would love the reference to a wet spot. Okay, so that one's on. That one's a little bit tricky because it's right beside this one. But I think I got it. Can't even get my finger in there to really make sure it's glued on, but I think I got it. It looks lined up. Yeah. Yeah, we're looking good. Okay, so let's do the 3 on this side now. Now, as I was saying, we can do wet effects. And I actually do have one of my, it's not a pigment, it's a wash, but it's a wet effect that you can put on and makes it look like it's always wet permanently. Some of this mud that I got caked on these other ones. Next one. That one's easy because there's no other things around it. Now, why did I wait until now to put these wheels on? Because I didn't want these wheels to be caked in mud. And that's the basic reason why. My thinking is these wheels are running right against the tracks constantly, and if anything, they're going to be clean and not caked in mud. That's my kind of weird little logic behind the idler wheels not being caked in mud. Should they be brown? Yeah, probably. Should they have some mud on them? Maybe a little bit. Now that I'm saying it out loud, it makes more sense to me. So maybe let's do that. So I don't want to have to do a whole nother session of mud, since I have to wait for this to dry anyway before I can really do anything more. Basically, I'm going to do some mud. I'll do another little bit of mud, except I'm going to use the non-textured. And then I'll put the wheels on, and then I just got to let it all dry. And that's going to be it. It'll be done. So because I've already ruined a brush, I'll just take some more out of here. Well, it's not more, it's taking some. To do that, take my alkali binder, and I'm going to make another paste. Let's see, I might need more. I think I'm okay. We'll see. Just kind of going to dab it in there a little bit. Okay. There we go. So they are now muddy looking, but not. It doesn't have that thick texture like the rest of it does. So it's basically like turning it into a brown paint, for lack of a better term. It's got a bit of a thickness to it, but not nearly the texture. Which is what I'm going for. See, I don't know, once the tracks are on, how much underneath on the top here I'm going to be able to see, so I just want to make sure, just in case it is visible. It's probably not going to be, but just in case, I want to make sure I've got everything covered here in brown. Okay, done. That's done. Another thing you could do is, like, well, maybe mud gets underneath all of here too, right? You could, if you want to, if you think, hey, there's going to be like a whole side of mud in here, you can do that. And yeah, how much mud gets splattered everywhere as this thing travels along, you know? And you can do that. And I can feather that out with the universal weathering carrier, or with the thinner. You can blend it, you can get rid of it, you can fade it, you can do all that kind of stuff. Like I said, I've got to let this all dry now. Right? So okay, so once again, brushing the garbage. I don't know how many times I've thrown that thing in the garbage now. Let's put the wheels back on. So we are starting with a yellow one, and I want to pick a nice dirty muddy one at the back. Same on this side, pick a nice dirty muddy one. Now, if I really feel the need, I can add mud to the back side of the wheel, right there, to that one, right? Realistically, I mean, how many people are going to be looking at the underside of the tank? I don't know. Probably nobody. Next, we want a really muddy green one. Okay, do the same on this side. Find a muddy green one. After the green one is two beiges. So I'm going to pick these two. My process in thinking about this is going a little bit cleaner as it gets to the front. Simply because I'm thinking the rotational direction of the tracks is going to be picking up the mud and flinging it like this. So these rear wheels are going to be the dirtiest, but then the tracks are going to be cleaner as they move along to the front, right? That's my kind of thinking process. Oh, see, now I just broke that one loose. Shit. Okay, that's going to get glued on. So next one, though, is green. I kind of figured that was going to happen eventually on one of these wheels because of this tight fit nature. And then we got beige. And then we got green again. Green is, yeah, the cog goes at the back, so the green, so the last one goes up here. It's actually a decent fit on the front. It's not quite so tight. The front one fits nice. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to re-glue this thing on. Damn it. And of course the little locator pin broke, so it's all just up to me to get this thing lined up where it's supposed to. And I may have fluked out and got it the first try. Okay, that's that. So I'm going to brown all over my fingers again. That's that. The wheels are on. Next step will be the cogs. I could put the cogs on, it's not going to be a problem. It's going to be, cogs are a bit tricky. I test fitted these before, and because of those other little, I don't even know what those things are. There we go. Oh, it even grinds like it's got mud in it. This little piece here makes it tricky to fit this on there without bending anything. hear that? Like grinding sounds lovely. Need some oil. Anyway, that's that. That is the wheels. We've got mud, people. We've got mud. And it's looking pretty good so far. We're almost done. Next we'll be putting on the tracks, and then the side pieces, our little plates like this, and lock everything in. It's going to be looking kind of like that, except with tracks on it. And then we got some guns, and we've got the little tow cables and stuff like that, and then it'll be done. Pretty much. We're getting there. Yes. So, I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to leave it at that. I want to thank you guys for watching, and thanks for coming out. What is the name of the... Sorry, J-Rod, I just realized you're there. How long has it been? Well, it's only been 2 minutes, so fortunately I didn't totally ignore you. Yeah, sorry about that. The name of the masking putty, I put that in my last video. It is the AK Camouflage Plastic Putty. Doesn't want to focus on this camera, but you can see it there. Yeah, AK Interactive. That stuff's there. That is the stuff I used, and I am impressed with it. But like I said before, if you watch my last video, I did find after spraying it with the paint, it almost turns, like when you're removing it, it almost turns into a goo that really is really stringy when you're trying to pull it off. And but it doesn't really cause that much of an issue, because you can just dab it and it just comes right off. And then you just kind of mix it and mold it again, and the paint that's on it just kind of, it sort of evaporates. I don't know what it does. It definitely has some kind of a reaction to the paint, and it makes the paint go away, and then it becomes normal again. I'll show you. Oh yeah, definitely you can use it more than once. I think unless I get some dirt or grit or something on it, I think I'll be able to use this many times over. You can sort of see, as I pull it out, you can see little pieces of that beige color in there. It's kind of hard, the camera's not really picking it up. But I can see tiny little specks of the paint in there. But it's still totally, I can get it to snap off there. It totally, can totally reuse it. Use it again. No problem. Oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah, the photocopy thing is something I've been doing for a long time. I've built a couple of different F-15s throughout my life, and doing the paint pattern on the F-15, that's always been my go-to, is to photocopy it and use that as my reference for painting it. So yeah, I think I will use this stuff on my F-15 build when I get to it. But once my tank is done, I've got another Gundam I need to build, because my Gundam collection of builds that are needing to be done is growing, and so I need to get to the building those Gundams and get that kind of accomplished and taken care of, so that I can actually have some Gundams on my shelf and not just Gundam boxes on my shelf. So yeah, so kind of leading up, and unfortunately you came in here just as I was pretty much finishing up for the day. I have to let this mud dry completely, and that won't be for a few hours now, before it basically becomes permanent. And yeah, we'll see. I'm going to let this dry completely and work on that. I might work on feathering the bottom to make it a little bit more realistic instead of looking like I just painted it with a brush. We'll see. I don't know. It kind of sits like this and you don't really look underneath anyway, so I might not bother. I don't know. We'll see. If it really bugs me, I'll do it. If it doesn't bother me, then obviously I won't. But I'm going to go. I'm going to leave it at that. And yeah, that'll be it. The tank's almost done. And then we'll start working on a Gundam. I got the, I think my next Gundam is going to be the Strike Rouge. We need to do that one. If you don't know what that is, well, that's okay. You can watch me build it and you'll find out what it is. Alright, J-Rod. Have fun with your Chieftain Mark V. And yeah, I'll do my typical plug here at the end of my video. I always do. If you're watching this on YouTube, why not head over to my Twitch channel and watch me on there, and you can watch me live and you can chat with me just like these guys do, or did. That's going to be duplicitous_29 on Twitch. What's the full URL? www.twitch.tv/duplicitous_29. That's my Twitch. If you want to watch or want to look at some still shots of previous builds I've done, every time I finish building a model, I upload it to my Instagram, and you can look at those pictures there if you want to check those out. And of course, if you are watching this on Twitch, why not head over to my YouTube channel and like and subscribe and do that. And hitting likes does wonders with the YouTube algorithms and gets me out there and gets my stuff to the world. And feel free to leave comments and all that kind of stuff on my videos. If you see I'm doing a technique on a model and you're wondering why I'm doing it, or if there's a way that I could be doing it much better, comment, let me know. I'm totally open to feedback on stuff like that. I'm always willing to learn new techniques and things like that, and ways to improve, right? That's what it's all about, trying to improve the stuff you do. Yeah, so with that, again, I'm going to go, and I'm going to thank you for watching. Thanks for coming out. As usual, it's been fun, and you guys are awesome. And so we're going to catch you guys all in the next one.